If you're aiming for this never happened sound, then these production choices are more essential than you might think. So today I'm going to show you an old project of mine called In Bloom, and this was the full production phase, so nothing has been mixed down here yet. Yeah, let me show you exactly how I made it. The track sounds like this. Okay, now you have a rough idea of how the track sounds like, so let me break down every single element within the track. Let's get started right away with the lead group. So in the intro, we have this section. Which is basically just the E-piano from Logic. I use it pretty much in every production of mine, and I just use it with some Echo Boy JR and some 8th note right here. I also added some chroma verb, and I created a very basic melody here. Now you hear this bit of clickiness that's added to the high end here. That's because of the Echo Boy JR in its transmitter mode. It just kind of boosts the high end kind of a bit. And I layered this with another layer. Now this time, it's also an 8th note on the Echo Boy JR, but compared to the first one, this one is on a dotted note. So this creates a nice rhythm. And it doesn't cancel each other out, it adds to the rhythm. And I layered this with some pads. So the first pad is from Diva, it's just from PML DMT2 pad strain, and I just used some sample delay to widen it up. So if you have sample delay and you turn the left delay a little bit to the left and keep the right at 0, you actually create shift the sample slightly, so you create width and more depth in the sample. In the second layer, some tape orchestra from Labs, together with some crystallizer and some primal tap. Another Diva PML DMT2 again, pad with Echo Boy and sample delay again. Another pad from Labs, tape orchestra again, this time with more processing, nice chorus from crystallizer, crystallizer default, Echo Boy JR again, little alter boy, and primal tap. And yeah, it sounds like this. And then PMLD Clouds, one of my favorite pads on Diva. And this one also has crystallizer, nice chorus, again default chorus, and quarter delay. I sometimes just copy and paste my channels, like just with Command D, and then automatically the new MIDI channel has already the same processing change as the previous one. And I just kind of add one more effect to give it more variation. Just a little hack to save you guys some time, but yeah, that's basically it. And right before the drop, I introduced this white noise. And then some kick. This is just a kick from PML. This one also was way too long. I really had to shorten this down in the mix. And then the bass group. Now, let's go back up to the leads here. So what is playing together with the kick? It's this lead element. It's just a percussion element I actually found on Splice. Just sounds like this. And I had to quantize it a bit because it was in a different BPM. And yeah, I kind of completely cut out the piano melody here, and it just plays together with the kick and the bass group. And that's enough, like you don't need more than that. And I found this little drum loop here on Splice. It sounds like this. Sometimes you get lucky and you find like drum loops that already sound full enough so you don't have to add more than that. And yeah, that's basically the first drop. Now for the bass lines here, what I did, I created a 16th stab layer. It sounds like this. It's basically just like high-end focused noise, essentially. So it's just noise activated with an envelope and basically not giving the sound any sustain and a little bit of attack here. And that's the entire sound. And if you run it through an ARP, it sounds like a beautiful layer. And it's just this percussive variation over time that sounds very humanized. And this runs through an Echo Boy JR, giving it more variation. Then an 8th bass from Diva, but you can create this anywhere you want actually. And again, ARP and an 8th note. Then a sustained bass. Now this bass is really important because it actually fills up a lot of like the low mids. This area, if this would not do this, this would not be as powerful. So it's super important that it has like it's kind of bleeding into the mids a lot. And this gets widened up through a nice chorus. Then a sub from Diva. And then another sub. This sub is kind of unnecessary, but I still kind of kept it in, I guess. I think in the final mix I cut out actually the low end here, but or replaced it only with this sub. But that's the whole point. So you have one bass layer kind of giving it like some percussive element to it, filling up the high end. Then you have one for the low mids, then one for the mids, and one for the sub. Yeah, so it's very layered a lot. Then I have the drums and the perk element. So as we continue in the track, I started reversing this intro piano. So I just bounced it into audio and reversed it, and it sounds something like this. So this is just some piano variation, just copy and pasted these leads. And leading up to this, it's just a reverse sound. Then again the lead. And that just repeats itself. But what I tend to do as some of my signature sound moves, what I started to do, is I take a lead sound and basically I kind of say, let's say I always take the piano, right? So the E piano, and I just put a bunch of Echo Boy JR in it. And then what I like to do, I like to use the pitch bend wheel on my keyboard, and I like to pitch bend it. And so what it does, if I pitch bend it, is if you don't start from 0 and you start the pitch bend immediately, so you already have it at like a higher setting here, Logic has this weird glitch. So if you don't put the dot like right here, but a little bit further behind, and it does not start like at 0 here, it will immediately go from 0 to, it will make this jump to 63. So it will think you are at 0 here, and then at this moment in time, so it thinks it's at 0 here, and then this moment in time, it will think you're at 63 at the pitch bend setting 63. So it will create this, you know, what you just heard. So here, it will still think it's at 0, and then it will do the pitch bend. And I found this out by accident, and since then I always use it because, it just sounds fucking awesome. So yeah, I do that to cause a lot of variation, and then I introduce the rhythmic stab synths. Which again, is just another rhythmic layer. In this case, I use Diva. Swollen Synth is a preset I made. I might put this into my future preset pack, so watch out for that one. And again, just creating variation here with some flanger, bit crusher, tape delay, chroma verb, Echo Boy JR. And then the most important part is this main arp. And then and another melody. Looking back at this, you don't really need this piano to melody here. It kind of already gets drowned in this main arp. Now in this production I still kept it, but as you can see, this is already enough. You don't really need this, but it's just another little melody. Yeah, but you would actually not need this. As you can see, it's already drowning enough. And then as soon as this, in the second half of the first drop, this ARP is playing, the pads we introduced in the beginning are playing again. So you basically don't have anything here except the main perk element. So you have one lead element, then the bass, the kick, and some drums. And then the second half of the drop, you start to introduce again the pads, build tension with them through some automation, volume automation, whatever, and then you just kind of, you know, build tension and release. I'm not going to talk too much about the cutoff settings here today, but basically all you need to know is create tension and release, you know, open up cutoff filters, open up the filter, and then close it again so you cause space in between each element. And that's something I feel like you have to feel and experience instead of teaching it. So just try it out in your productions and you should get the hang of it fairly soon. All right, so then the break. So the break is really powerful in this production because it has a lot of like pad elements. And it gets introduced through this element here. And it almost sounds like when a car crashes or something. It's like this new like break into something new. So it's just, yeah, nothing special. It just sounds really nice. And the way I created these pads in the break was, the first one is just a retro synth from Logic. It's called Growl Baby, that preset. It's under Synth Leads Growl Baby. And I layered this with the main pads again, but only with the first pad, not with the second pad. And then I layered it with more pads. So this one is from Diva. It's again just a sine wave, some square wave, and another square wave called Sunny Clouds. And opened this up with some chorus again from Soundtoys. Crystallizer, then another pad. This one is called Bass 5, and it's just a preset I made. You can copy these settings if you want to, but there's nothing special here, only that this one adds depth to it. These two add kind of a bit more the upper melody, and this one is kind of filling it out. And then to create more variation, I added this, which I am in love with, and it's just, again, my favorite plugin, Alchemy, with some Crystallizer and some Chromaverb. And honestly, you guys don't need a lot. You have to just keep it super simple. Crystallizer, the default setting already does enough. You just have to create variation over time and keep it interesting and not a static tone. Just like move it, make it move, make it modulate, make it come alive. And do that through a variety of techniques. So as you can see here, I modulated the living hell out of this thing. And it just moves around, honestly, the X and Y axis on Alchemy. Here. And then over time, it just creates beautiful variation as soon as you open up the high end here. And yeah, other than that, to create, of course, more variation, I again introduced the main ARP, which slowly starts to build in the background. I felt like that was very typical for like This Never Happened projects. Now here, I found this sample and it was just a beautiful like drowned vocal vibe, which I really loved. That's basically it for the first part of the break. So it's just some pads and the main arp building up. And then the second part, I added a few more elements. I added, for example, this vocal element. Then again, the first layer of the bass we talked about earlier, this with the 8th bass. So nothing too deep yet, because we don't want to have the low end too heavy yet in the break. We want it all to hit in the final drop again. So just building this up. Atmospheres we had. The atmosphere elements we had in the intro as well. Now here, I remember making this. This was a lot of fun. So what I did here, this is from RetroSynth. So what I did here is I bounced a RetroSynth MIDI effect I created. I believed I deleted it already in this one, but basically what I did is I just cranked up the resonance on one of the RetroSynths and I exported it in audio, and then I created this weird riser thingy. So let me show you how you can create this really quickly. It's super easy. And with these kind of tricks and tips, you can create a lot of variations in your track, so just hang around. So you just use a random default or whatever you feel like right now. And then you crank up the resonance, right? Let me play this. And then you just kind of... And if you just add a little bit like of echo on here, and then you kind of play along it like this. And you export it, you can create these really cool glitches. And this is how it sounds like. And then of course I created some snare build, some basic snare build, then a riser. Then 3 kicks and then the drop. And the drop is super important. That is not as empty as in the first drop here, but that you added already with 16th heads here that just create the energy in the background. And also something that's super vital is that you create something in the high end that really opens it up. I was really lucky that I found this sound here. It's from Alchemy again, Arctic Winds, and that just really opened it up for me. And this feels like you're like flying through a tunnel and boom into like the mountains, and all the sunshine and everything is clashing together. And also note how I'm not really having the main lead element in here yet. I'm only going to introduce this in the second half of the drop to not make it too full right from the start. So let's quickly break down how I made this drop. Remember those rhythm steps I showed you earlier? They keep building and they create the cornerstone of the rhythm for this drop in the background. Then those cloud pads. And just kind of creating the main melody. And something that's new here is this alien distortion. So this is just from Labs. Vintage keys, and I kind of ran them through some little Alter Boy, Chroma Verb, Echo Boy JR, Phase Distortion, and more Echo Boy JR, and they sound like this. I just kind of improvised a bit on my MIDI keyboard, and yeah, made it quite human and didn't quantize it too much, so it sounds quite nice. And then again, exported and reversed my MIDI key pianos, which again requires the same technique I showed you earlier with the RetroSynth, and that just created a beautiful like weird alien reverse riser. Here. This is from PML DMTDR Tommy synth. I just kind of, instead of using like a fill kind of, I just used the sound to introduce the next section. And yeah, in this section, I think I overloaded it a bit, but I think I, in the mix, reduced a lot here. But in this current stage, let me just show you what I added here. So I again introduced the sound from earlier, then the lead from earlier, then I found this vocal sample here, then this, it's a splice sample I found, then this synth, then the main lead element, then the pad, more pads, the main melody again, this melody, and yeah, some variation here and with white noise in the drums. But to be honest, I think I should have reduced here earlier a lot in this section. But to be fair, yeah, it sounds pretty nice still. But yeah, guys, that's kind of it. Like in the drums, there's not too much going on here anymore. Maybe just this white noise variation I created here in the drums. And yeah, the final mix sounds a bit different, and I also added some vocals here in the break. I'm not sure if I'm going to release this track with vocals or without vocals, or if I'm even going to release this track. Let me know if I should release this, because I have had this on my laptop now for almost 2 years and I kind of want to release it. But yeah, I'm not sure yet, so let me know. I'm also going to blend in the final mix at the end of this video. But yeah, so this is basically the entire production. Just a lot of diva pads, a lot of atmosphere, a lot of changes, and keeping the drum groove super simple. Once again, I think This Never Happened is a label that's full with atmospheric sounds. It's super full with like these glitches and this nostalgic feeling, and I feel like you can really achieve this through having pads with perfect fifth harmonies, a lot of chorus, a lot of beautiful sound design, and of course just like this feeling of this never happened, you know, this track never happened. And I feel like if you really live by that philosophy, you can create a track that This Never Happened would immediately sign. And yeah, guys, that was basically it for this video. If you like this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to check out maxbluchermusic.com. And yeah, have a great day, take care, and I hope I see you guys in the next video. If I should make more breakdown videos like this, let me know. And if I should release this track, also let me know. And yeah, I'm gonna blend in a last snippet of the song in the end here so you see how it sounds like mixed. And yeah, I wish you a beautiful day, take care, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye bye.